think we'll all agree that 2020 has been an incredibly tough year. It's been academically very demanding, and I think what has been very gratifying has been that the response to that challenge has in most cases been exceptional. On behalf of our staff, their ability to adapt and the way in which they've taken their curricula and shifted them so that they can work online has been impressive. So I think that's been for me, I think the highlight in terms of our staff academically. I think what's also been interesting is to see scholars having to take responsibility for their own learning. I think the majority of them have risen to that challenge with aplomb, and I think it's been amazing to see how there's been an enforced growth for our scholars in that regard. It's also been pleasing to see is the number of opportunities they've still explored despite the restrictions that they've had. Things like the IT Olympiad, Computer Applications Olympiad, where Natasha Friend, for example, reached the final. We had several of our scholars achieving high distinction certificates in the IBT for reasoning test. Janse van Rensburg, Rein Sebastian, really topping our list in that regard. I think for me, one and all, we've been tested in our ability to adapt and change as we faced new challenges really daily, sometimes hourly. And if ever there was a test to see whether we are future fit, I think it's that, our ability to adapt and change. And if that's been the test of the year, I think we can say that it's been a real success. Matrics, I think, have faced an unexpected and challenging year, personally and academically. But I have faith that at the end of the year they'll rise to that challenge and that they'll be successful in their endeavours.
I think 2020 got off to the most phenomenal start. The high energy way with which the new exec took to their duties and got the school going from the grade 8 orientation through to our taste of a derby, it was absolutely phenomenal. With KG and Tandro leading the way so incredibly well. Who will forget KG's propaganda speeches in chapel? And other things that were just amazing was the singing in chapel on the Mondays and the feeling and the vibe in the quads. So a very high energy start, and then suddenly lockdown. And it was almost like the school had disappeared. There was a sense of we needed to connect with the scholars out there and make sure that every day somebody from the staff connected with each and every child, just to make sure that whatever was going on in lockdown in their own environments was actually kind of catered for. Time passed and we started coming back to school, and with that brought a whole lot of challenges as well. We found that the old ideal behaviors were now no longer regarded as ideal. For instance, sharing. You don't share. And, being comfortable with your peers so that you can give them a hug if they're upset and so on. Now we're telling them not to touch each other, to keep your distance, social distancing. I have to say that I believe the kids, by and large, have done incredibly well with all these new changes. Children are far more adaptable than we actually give them credit for. And we are approaching now in our last phase of the year an attempt to try and bring back some normalcy, where we're going to be having our inter-house music in a virtual sense, our inter-house debating in a virtual sense as well, and I think valediction is going to be something completely different. So this year is going to challenge us all the way to the very end.